Three, two, one, go.
Oh, hello.
We were talking about
We're welcoming Christian Berry to the podcast.
AKA CB.
Frank, do our shout outs.
Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, BitChute, and Spotify, Apple Music. Give us a follow, give us a like, subscribe.
Tell me what BitChute is.
It's like free speech oriented YouTube. Like
So-
they don't ban anything. Like everything.
And it's like free access to whoever wants to listen to it.
yeah, exactly.
Because like, I don't know if you know what Patreon is. You have to
Yeah,
like subscribe to a
yeah.
person, but then they can put anything on there. But you have to pay,
Well,
obviously.
Patreon also bans people. Like they were banning
really?
people for other things they were doing on other platforms. And
That's
so
some
like,
bullshit.
screw that. That's not. You should allow. If you have a platform, you should not try to do anything that will affect the platform. Like you
The
should just
internet
let it
is
go.
the Wild West. You gotta let
Exactly.
that shit happen.
Well,
But
let's
it's
be
not.
Let's be honest.
not right
all
now.
of those social
I mean-
medias, they're just gonna just
Yeah.
If they don't want it,
We're probably
they're not
being
gonna
shadow banned. That's why we haven't blown up yet.
Oh, yeah.
Too radical. But yeah, if you have any questions or want to come on or know someone who wants to come on, email us and we'll get you on.
My experience thus far has been horrible. So I hope theirs is better. No, I'm kidding.
So, Christian Berry, tell us about yourself, man.
Yeah, from Salina. I think most people probably know that. Just recently moved back to Salina, actually. Graduated from OU with this dude in
Bobcats.
December. Oh, yeah, go Bobcats. Roll Bobbies. Moved to San Francisco in January. Shit's obviously been crazy, so moved back like 2 weeks ago. Back here. Yeah, I don't really know what else I need to add about my life other than that.
What were you doing out in San Francisco?
I was working for a tech company called Sumo Logic. Shout out to those people. I'm going to share it, and hopefully some of them will listen to it. But doing software sales, not the most fun job, obviously.
What does Sumo Logic do?
So-
are they like SaaS or something like that?
Yeah, so it's like cloud-based SaaS solution. So basically, engineers programming all day. They build the app, and then when you're using the app, you click on a button. It creates all that log data that shows what happens. So you take the log data, put it into Sumo Logic. We help make that like human readable. So do some data analysis, and then customers will use it for like maintaining applications, keeping them up and running, business insights, so you can find out where people are, like what buttons are being clicked more often, how to rearrange home screens, things like that. Then lots of cybersecurity. We acquired a company in November of last year, and so that's what I was like primarily focused on.
Nice.
Cybersecurity sales. So no one's going to know the term, but Cloud SIM, it's like security incident and event management tool. So basically all of your event data, security data, send it to us, analyze that data, condense it, everything in one platform, try to simplify, because most engineers have lots of tools and shit like that. So the idea of the platform is everything in one.
Nice.
That'd be crazy.
Dude, I think
Everything in one.
I'll buy two if you have them.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at like minimum $6,000 if you want to put that in. But like security stuff that I'm pitching is like, that's like a $200,000-$300,000 sale.
All
So
enterprise.
it's safe to say that you
yeah.
could probably get us a sponsor from Sumo for that.
I don't know about that, but maybe we'll see. But yeah, that's me.
Cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be like, that's where things are going.
Definitely
Jobs wise,
going
there's
that
already a
way.
huge job shortage in cybersecurity, and I know that like TriStar is actually starting to do a cybersecurity program. My mom met whoever they hired. I haven't met that person, but I'm hoping to reach out to them and meet them, because we'd love to hear what the plan is with that program. Because with as many people who should be going to trade schools, cybersecurity is a good trade that people are getting paid six figures right out of school to do not the hardest work. I mean, it's very simple. Once you get like the flow down, it's with any job. But yeah, that's where things are going. There's already like a 4 to 6 million job shortage in the country.
And it's not even like the colleges can't teach it as fast as it's evolving too.
Yeah, and something like TriStar, you're going to get like hands-on experience, and they're going to pair them with probably local businesses where they'll actually get like real-world experience with what's it like to handle an incident that comes in, how to identify like what, because like a lot of it's anomaly detection, things like that, and you don't know that until you've done the job for like 6 months. You find out what actually is an anomaly. So I'm curious to see what becomes of that program, because that's really cool for Salina and
Yeah, it's
for Mercer County area.
They got that sweet building now.
Yeah,
building is
it's a
crazy.
sweet building.
Talked about the building with Bill Sell a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Have any of you guys been in that building at all?
Nope.
Yeah.
Apparently they do tours though. Maybe not right now, but
Yeah, it's true.
sometimes they do.
Definitely
Should
wanna
go
check
on
out
one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm curious because I'm assuming it's like the general TriStar stuff that was in like the high school, like the automotive stuff like that, and then they have like some CAD stuff. But I'm curious to see what all they're building out because now they've got cybersecurity. The building that size, you can do pretty much anything. And with the Lake campus, I think that's what Mercer County, like the region, needs to keep up with jobs, things like
Yeah.
that.
What was the place you work for again?
Sumo Logic.
Sumo Logic. You still working for them right now? You working from home or you?
Funny thing is, I actually quit my job about 6 hours ago.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, it's,
Congratulations.
breaking news! I fucking quit.
What's the reason?
So a couple of reasons. Primarily just because sales, very quickly found out that wasn't my strong suit. I think I'm like a decent communicator. I'm good at that.
Dude, sales is tough.
It's tough,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like I had sales internships before that, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. But then when you have like an actual quota put on your head, and then when the whole world shuts down and no one wants to spend money, and then you're just calling people and it's like getting nowhere.
And it's enterprise level too.
Yeah, it's tough. So like and especially calling so I'm calling an engineer who's got their headphones on, their heads down, they're listening to music, working, and then I'm interrupting their workflow to try to tell them to spend money or to consider something. So it's like it's already an uphill battle from there. And some people are great at it. I did decent for a little while, but realized that wasn't quite my thing, and realized I kind of wanted to pivot. And it was like, well, if the longer I stick with this, the more I'm getting entrenched into this path. If I want to make a change, now's the time. I've got a little bit of money saved. I'm young and healthy and can get back home now too. Because I was at a point where like my lease ended in June. If I would have either been laid off or been trying to make a change out there, you need a lot of money to make a career change in San Francisco. And so it's easier to come back here, reset, and then pivot. But so it was a little bit of that with sales, and then looking to make a career change. Definitely not sales, but definitely not really into software. I mean, I love like learning about technology and the ways that it changes business, stuff like that. But I think that's more of like a passion that can be alongside. Like I can be in a job and be like, oh, what could I use to help me in this job, rather than like my job's all about this technology and how it can do this. So
what kind of things are you looking into?
yeah, got a few things like sort of lined up, but not really in like the decision making process right away. But looking into like social service work. So like when things were normal in San Francisco, I would spend my weekends like serving meals in one of the neighborhoods, like the Tenderloin. It's like the poorest neighborhood in San Francisco. And then usually on Sundays, I would go do beach cleanups because I could get like a free carpool ride to the beach because I didn't have a car. So for me, it was like, all I have to do is go like pull some weeds, rake some sand, clean some trash, plant some like native grasses, and then I can hang out at the beach for 8 hours. I'll do anything to do that. And then after a while, I was like, man, this is the coolest shit. Like I could do this every day. Things shut down, can't do anything. And I was like, this is all if I change what I'm doing right now, only thing I want to be doing is doing that. And like, especially in like serving meals to homeless communities in San Francisco, every single person that comes through that line, like is so much different than the last one. So that was super cool. I really love that. So looking into stuff like that, I don't know if you guys know like AmeriCorps. It's like a national service like program. So things like that, where it's not like, it's more of a volunteer job rather than like a full-time job. But
Did you have any interesting interactions with like homeless people out there?
oh, I mean, interesting how? Like interesting as in like someone shitting in the street. Like I saw stuff like that. I've heard some crazy stories, but then interesting like, like there was a guy that I met while I was serving one day, and he was actually working there because that was like, he would get free meals and then they would give him like a free bed every night if he worked full time at the shelter. And like he moved to San Francisco because his mom lived out there and she was laid off like 10 years ago, and automation started just taking all like pretty much every bank in San Francisco is just a automated teller. There's no people in those buildings. So she was a bank teller, got laid off. He moved back to take care of her. He took a job at a financial institution. His job got automated away. He's like a low-level analyst. And so he was like, yep, my job went from being lucrative in other parts of the country to nothing. Because, I mean, out there, that's where people are testing those things. So
He was like, first and went everywhere else.
Oh, yeah. He went from being like, okay, I can easily pay for myself and my mom and live out here, to not having a job. And it happens so quick, and your savings, you're going through it quick because cost of living out there. So it's interesting to see you think of like a homeless person as someone who's like a drug addict and like down on their luck or like just not smart with their money. But he's someone who's like a functioning member of society for a long time, and just one quick turn pushes you right off the edge. And that's happening with people right now too with coronavirus. It's like you lose your job because you worked at a fast food restaurant, that's gone. And so
no fault of their own, just
oh yeah. I mean, that's the way the markets work, is like, where can you save money, make money, and people get left at the wayside, which is tough. But
Did you ever get like any fights, like any homeless people fighting to get food or to get like
I definitely,
beds or anything?
I definitely have not like in the shelter. The shelter's like super chill. You go in there and they've got plenty of meals. People are all hanging out, having a good time. It's like a 2-hour lunch shift. So you serve the meals, then you eat with everybody, hang out. They've got music playing, stuff like that. And so nothing in the center at all, but definitely like, I mean, especially in the Tenderloin too, like streets are, I mean, it'll literally be like if you're walking on Main Street in Salina, but imagine like the front of the courthouse, like that section of the street, but like 200 people living in tents in that much space.
Holy cow.
And like,
I drove by that like tent city over there. Thing was crazy.
And the tent city has gone from like tent village to tent fucking like mega city. Yeah, it's huge. And like they're turning parking garages into tent cities, like tent structures, because there's just so many people who are now pushing the homelessness, don't have places to go. So it's interesting.
No one can build anything there. The
Well,
housing
it's
is
crazy
such a problem.
How fragile it is out there.
The nice thing is that with all this happening, lots of businesses are just going to abandon their offices.
Mm-hmm.
So then people will just, like developers are going to dump money into turning their old office buildings they're renting into apartments, hopefully.
If they're allowed
Cheaper
to, because that's the
apartments.
main problem is they can't get permits or anything.
Which goes back to like just dumb shit.
yeah,
that,
exactly.
like,
They don't realize they're looking just purely short term. They don't realize like the benefits to long term,
oh yeah.
like changing this dry cleaning place into an apartment complex or something
Exactly.
like that. Like,
and just something like that small, like 4 units is a huge difference out there. And rent prices are going crazy right now and dropping drastically because people are just dipping. Places like Facebook, Google, they're all telling their employees from now until the end of time, you can work wherever you want.
And they're leaving.
Oh yeah, people are packing up and leaving. So,
It's
I mean,
going to
you
be
can go-
interesting to see how that affects like places like Salina, because people like you are moving back, and it could actually help Salina a lot, bring money from the city to Salina. Holly, my sister, she works at an accounting firm. Same thing. She can work from wherever now. And for at least the rest of the year, it's less overhead for the businesses, and it gives the employees a lot more flexibility wherever they want.
but how many occupations will there be enough for everyone to move back here? You
Not
think?
everyone, but
That's what I mean. It's like there has to be a
it
reason.
could be a significant
Yeah.
amount, though.
I think like a positive downstream effect would be those people come back and then after like 2 or 3 years, they kind of get settled and they're like, oh, well, now I've got some skills and I can just start my own business around here. Like they've got savings so they can buy a place on Main Street and turn that into
I think
their
we're
own
going to see a
restaurant, things like
shift
that.
from like nationwide stores to more regional approaches, just because so many people are leaving cities en masse.
Which is weird because like Amazon came in and then just destroyed all that.
Yeah,
and now it's
exactly.
like, well, now that things are changing, people are leaving like mega centers and people are still going to use Amazon all the time. But now there's going to be more incentive for people to be like, look, I've got some savings and I can employ 2 or 3 people and make my decent. Like if people keep injecting money into the local economy like they did because it was like save your local restaurant, you don't want them to go under.
Well, they're having
that trend
trouble
stays.
still. They can't deliver half their stuff. It's all like Prime is not
mean
2 days for
Amazon?
most things. Yeah.
Well, even there, like the employees were all stretched to the thinnest. They tried to hire a bunch more. Demand went way up, and that puts a lot of pressure on the current employees. And some of those guys dropped off too.
And that's what I mean. It's going to show the faults in large corporations because
And in the supply, just the supply chain. in general.
chain. Those faults are just those giant weak points where you have a ton of people in one area. 50 years ago, that was spread out among 50 different distribution centers across the country.
We're, like with Amazon Prime in San Francisco, if I ordered something on Prime, I could get it like same day within like 3 hours. So like one day I ordered a book and it was there 2.5
yeah,
hours
that was
later.
in Columbus.
That's
But that's
crazy.
changing now since there's the riots and everything. They can't even go into cities.
Yeah. Well, I lived outside of San Francisco, so like that was helpful.
yeah,
I was
that's-
pretty close to a hub too. But yeah, I think there's more than 3 times where I ordered something and got it. Like I would order at 10, 11 a.m. and it'd be there before 4.
Do you ever go to those lockers they started doing?
I've never been to one, but I've seen
They
it. yeah.
have those in Columbus right next to the dorms, and those things were everyone
smart
was
with
going
the
in and out of
dorms.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they had that. I think they opened a warehouse near Columbus. Amazon did.
I'm not sure. I know they were thinking about moving the like a hub or the headquarters. Weren't they trying to move that someplace and
Yeah,
Columbus
something
didn't
like
get
that.
it? But
They were looking to do like New York or somewhere like that. They wanted a second HQ. I know that Google's building like a data center in
Amazon
Columbus.
opens third distribution center, third
well,
Ohio
Columbus
distribution
is
center.
like a hub of the internet. I don't know what that means, but I've heard
It's
people say it.
it's so like above the internet is called the intranet, and there's like so like what the intranet is like there's only I believe 7 nodes of the intranet in the U.S. and so one of the nodes was CompuServe in the late 70s, and that was at OSU. So OSU is just a hub, and so from those 7 places, all of the internet is trafficked to the next tier, which is BrightNet or Wabash.
Through fiber cables or whatever.
Yeah, and then it's spread out from there. And so like it's just one step up farther down the train, one step farther up the chain. That's what the hub is in Columbus.
Cool.
Did not know that.
Yeah, but it seems like they did open a in West Jefferson.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know it's I know someone who works probably at that hub, and he said he doesn't even see a person for most of his shift. It's all just robots zipping around.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
And he's just moving packages.
We
says
watched
they
the-
crazy.
He says they go so fast, and you just think they're going to hit all the time. They never do.
It's like those little tiny floor ones, right? And they like carry the stack of
I'm not sure
boxes.
what they look like, but
I think I know what you're talking about.
I think
They
that's in
look
like
crazy.
a Chinese facility.
Yeah, I think I might have saw
It's like
something
they've got like
that.
a weird shelf on top of like a little floor bot, and it just moves and it just
grabs
stuff off the
pallets and
shelf.
stuff too.
Walmart and Amazon, some of these
crazy.
places where they do have people, like if you're a forklift driver or something like that, you'll have an earpiece in, and they'll be telling you constantly if you're behind or ahead of schedule. So all day you have
Oh my God.
Are you
an
serious?
automated voice telling you you're ahead, you're behind,
That's
or you're
terrible.
on time.
Man, I thought a sales
wouldn't that
job
be
was
crazy?
stressful. Talk
Wouldn't
about
that be
having-
crazy?
Someone just telling you, hey, you're 2 hours behind. If you stay 2 hours late today.
Well, I guess that's kind of like how in farming, like if you know it was going to rain that day, you're like, well, I got 4 hours till it rains. I have to do this as fast as I possibly can.
I feel like that's because you're like, okay, I need to be smart about this, rather than someone just
Yeah,
being like,
true.
hurry up,
Yeah,
hurry up, hurry up,
yeah,
hurry up, hurry up.
Well, it boosts
Cousin here.
productivity. So what are you gonna do?
What happens when those types of robotics make their way downstream to like more consumer level? Like
I mean, some campuses have those bots on campus now, so you can
Oh,
order food
seriously?
in town. Yeah.
Dude, really?
I saw
yeah.
a pizza delivery that was being tested. It was like an automated car, and like it would pull up to your house and then open a locker, and you would go and grab your pizza out.
Company like that in San Francisco folded a couple weeks ago. I think I probably shouldn't like air that out, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure they folded, but it was like a kind of like a UPS truck like type of
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
and,
about.
Yeah, so it'd pull up, and then like on the side there's like a slide up window, and like there's like 4 sections, and they would be making the pizzas as it went. So it'd just pull up, you slide open your thing, grab your pizza, and then it would just go off to
That's
the
pretty
next
sweet.
person.
That's a good idea.
So you get fresh pizza. It's all about freshness
yeah.
at that point.
Fresh.
Fresh, and you don't have to go pick it up, and then or don't have to have the middleman. It just comes right to you and just drop it off at the door.
And that went under?
Interesting.
That's
I'm
unfortunate.
pretty sure. I mean, with things shutting down, then they've got just trucks sitting empty, and they probably were already.
Well, I mean,
operating at,
I think that would be like prime time because no one wants to go out, and well,
that's
it's
actually
perfect time. People order it, and it's right there.
Yeah.
It's fresh. They don't have to go out and.
Well, they probably had their own stipulations where you like had to pay them a certain amount of money, like if you wanted to deliver through them or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know all the specifics. I just remember seeing like a quick video about how it was going to be the future of ordering food, and then I don't think it worked out.
One thing about a lot of those companies out there is they leverage so much credit and like VC funding and things like that. So if they're not like profitable, like if you're not profitable or 10 times profitable than you were last quarter, you might just get shut down completely.
That's like, oh yeah, everyone talks about run rate for your company. It's like with how much you've got saved and how much recurring revenue you've coming in. Some companies operate with like a 3-month run rate. So like if things shut down or go haywire for 3 months, game over.
The
there's
corporations didn't even
scams
have
out
enough of like in the rainy day fund. Like they even that's why all
Obviously.
the
It's
because
bailouts
there's
happen.
so much money that's just being lent. It's just like
Exactly.
I'll give you
We're built on
$100 million
credit.
to do. Yeah, exactly, to do something.
Why?
Crazy.
That's the reason why the housing is so expensive now too. Is because you only have to have 15% of the actual value of the house.
Yeah, housing. I don't even like coming back here and then like I like casually browsed on like apartments to see what like in Mercer Algois County was available. And like with how much I paid in San Francisco, I could have a 2-bedroom place in downtown Columbus. And I had 1 bedroom in a 5-bedroom house. So it's like my brain is like still wrapping my mind around like, okay, you don't have to spend all of your income on housing this month. Like you can be more smart about that. But oh man, it's interesting to see rent prices drop out there and to see if that like is it just going to be like this for 6 more months or is it going to drop and actually stay?
I hope at least the rent aspect, people having more flexibility and being able to work from farther away. Hopefully that, I mean, of course the landlords might be getting shafted a little bit, but fuck those guys anyways in my book.
I don't know, because you think about how many people on rent control around there. Like that's a big problem because what happens if rent value goes below the rent control?
What's rent control?
Rent control is like you can't jack up the price like unexpectedly.
And that's some places out there aren't rent controlled. And like that's like a big
Yeah.
thing when you look for places because you'll see a place online that's like $800 a month and you're like, this is half what I'm paying. Sweet. You look at it, talk to the guy. He's like, yeah, it's not rent controlled. That guy, you could move in the second month, he could tell you it's $2,500 a month with no legal repercussions. He could just jack it up to anything. So it's like a huge That's how they bait and switch people. Is you see that and you're moving to the area, you're like, oh, this is cheap, I'll take it, and then
they created the whole rent control has created scarcity, and so like the people who have rent control is a scarce commodity now because like there's only a finite amount of them that are doing rent control because of how much housing is. So now you have a lot of people that aren't going to move out either. They're not going to exchange. Like you should eventually move out of your place and like let in the next generation. You know what I mean? Especially in a hub like that.
Not if you're still working there.
I don't know, dude.
I think it'll be tough to get people to. I mean, at least for me, like I want to go back still. Obviously, I lived in California. It was pretty sweet. Got to go to the beach sometimes. Like the weather's 70 and sunny every single day. When I came back, like it rained the first week. That was the first time I saw rain in like 5 months. I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit again. So like, you definitely want to go back, but then it's like, okay,
You can't.
pros and cons.
Yeah.
Pros, it's nice. Cons, everything else. It's expensive.
Yeah, taxes.
Right now, it's dangerous because coronavirus is spiking
And
again and
the
things like
riots.
that. Oh yeah, it's not a fun time to want to live in a big city that's expensive at all.
Do you think you would have stayed if the COVID-19
Never
didn't
happened.
come? Yeah.
That is like the existential question of my life right now is like, what would have happened if none of this happened? Like, would I still be working my job and love, like, who
bet
knows
you
how it
would
went?
be.
I probably would
I
because,
feel like you going to the office was like a big reason why you liked it too.
oh yeah, the office was huge. Like the people there, if they're listening, shout out to them. They're like the coolest people in the world. It's so cool to work with them. The office also huge positive. They fed me breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. That's cool. So I think I definitely would have still been doing it. But I think that I was already getting feelings like I definitely don't want to stick in software sales. So I would have at least been looking to either like internally change or still applied for the same stuff I applied for. Because when things started shutting down, like first thing that you're hearing was like layoffs are going to start happening in a month. So at least myself and everybody else that I knew were applying to jobs like crazy. So like I need a backup. So I was kind of already, I guess, like leaning towards making a change. But I probably would have finished out the first year and then changed.
You're pretty close to the first year though, right?
So
But if you count your
as of today is like, yeah, I've been there for 6 months. But if you, starting when I interned there last summer, I've worked there for 15 consecutive months. So
it's over a year, baby. You did it.
Atta boy.
the problem is, I wish the year applied to like full-time work because then you get more benefits if you stay for a year, and I would have kept my stocks, things like that. So I botched that one, but
It's all right. Next one.
exactly. On to the next.
Forward thinking.
Yep.
Already quit.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna be calling your boss tonight.
Yeah. I want my job back. I want my job. If John's listening, he's the coolest dude ever. I feel so bad about what I had to do, but it's I don't know. It's like such a tough thing when you're, especially your first, like every job I've had up to this point in my life has been, there's an end date on it. Like an internship, it ends when school starts. A high school job, you're at least going to cut hours.
It's a career. Almost.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, and like, dude, the first week I got out there, I was like, this is it. Like I was sitting on the weekend, like the first week I didn't have a bed, so I was just sleeping bag on the floor. I just paid my first rent payment. I was like, okay, I just paid $1,600 for this sleeping bag on the floor. Looked around the room and I was like, I just do this forever now. And I was like, oh my God, like a breakdown. I was like, oh shit, there's no timeline in my life anymore. It's weird to change from having like in 6 months I've got school or I graduate in 4 years to just being like, now you just do whatever you want, when you want, and you pick where your life goes, which is kind of freeing, but at the same time, a little scary.
Yeah, I had the same feeling when I like, because I worked so hard to become a cop, and then when I became a cop, I'm like, oh boy, this is it. And this is my life now. I can big boy time.
Oh yeah,
it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
It helps you give that. Like I'm assuming you probably felt the same way since you left that job too. Like it very much busts you down to like your core needs, and you're like, if I have to do this every day for 8 hours a day for 40 years, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, all right, what would I rather spend my time doing? Because, like, you got to find a way to make money somehow. So it helps you. Because, like, leaving college is just like, job in California, cool. You could have had me do anything out there. I would have done it to move out there to do it. And then when you actually do it, then you're like, okay, I should probably be more strategic in my decision making and, like,
just want to go back to
it's a good learning lesson, though.
Easy life of your parents can take care of you.
Exactly.
You have a house.
Shout
over you.
Shout out to them for feeding me right now. That's pretty cool.
Dang.
Oh, yeah.
Matt and Denise, big shout out.
Big shout out. Hopefully they're listening. I'm definitely going to show it to them.
Good.
How'd you go back to this homeless? How'd you kind of get into helping those guys out?
Yeah. So I did it as a way, because I knew when I moved out there, I signed my lease to end in June, which thank God I did that. Because if I signed a 1-year lease, I would be out there right now and still struggling. But yeah, I was like, okay, I'll do 6 months, and I've got time to, like, plenty of time to meet a bunch of people. So, because I didn't really want my roommates to be coworkers. There were some that I ultimately would have wanted to move in with, but in my mind, I was like, if I meet people outside of work, like, I want to build relationships outside of the office so that I've got like a few pools of people to be with. So to me, it was like, okay, meet people who are probably going to be like pretty kind-hearted, like easygoing people. And that was on the list. And like, I figured I'll meet with like OU's alumni association, things like that. Like I wanted to meet people outside the office. So that the main reason was like, oh, it's just a way to meet people. And then after the first time I was like, okay, I got a free meal. I had a fun time like hanging out, having some cool conversations, learned some new stuff about some different people, about different cultures, things like that. And about like just how people end up in that situation. So that was really like energizing to hear. It feels bad to say it's energizing to hear like someone tell their like a sad life story, but at the same time, it's like,
well, it kind of gets your ass like, oh shit, that could actually happen to me.
Yeah, that, and also like it just gives you a better appreciation for like, then when you're up in the city and you see someone who's like clearly strung out on like a street corner, your first thought isn't like, oh, there's a fucking drug addict. Like your thought is like, oh man, I hope that like, I don't know, it changes your mindset when you have those like face-to-face conversations.
So that was empathy.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a huge added bonus. But I think mainly because I'd done like some volunteer stuff in high school and like middle school and like mission trips and stuff. But to me, it was like, when I was like showed up the first day, like my stomach was going, I was like, I don't know what I'm about to expect. Like, am I going to be cleaning up puke or shit or something today? Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's
and then
what
I was
you
like,
got to run towards those feelings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whenever you get those butterflies in your stomach, you got to run towards
100%.
them.
Because as soon as it finished, I was like, oh man, that was such a rush. And I was like, the fear that I had beforehand and like the way that fear came through the experience and then came out of like confidence. Like I could do this.
It's
every
like
day. I love this.
I imagine it's like you're in a box and like right when you start feeling those butterflies and everything, you're right at breaking out to the next box. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. Which is also like another huge learning experience. Is like you're saying that experience. Like if I find myself feeling that way about something that I'm going to do, kind of like this. Like I was a little bit like I'm about to be on camera and talking into a mic. What's up, everybody? I'm gonna be doing that for a while. Like it's a little nerve wracking, but I'm having a great time. It's fun.
Good, yeah. We definitely have a lot of fun doing it.
Oh yeah.
It seems like every single time I talk to somebody after, they're like, I was like really super nervous, and then we got there. It's just like, oh, we're just talking. Like,
Yeah.
just sit back and talk.
Got my feet kicked up. I would put my feet up but my feet are kind of gross.
I should make it like a little ottoman thing so we all can just
Ooh, nice.
throw our
That'd
feet
be
up.
nice.
Back.
I would actually give this like a 5-star review on iTunes and Spotify if it had that, but I'm thinking like 3 right now.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, 3's better than 2.
We'll take a strong 3.
There you go.
I have some of those kneeling things like that you use in the church. I can put some of those under there.
There you go. All right, I got a random question for you guys. This is something I took some notes because I wanted to be prepared in case the
One of the
conversation
few
needed
who
it.
brought notes.
You know
He
me.
is one of the few.
I'm a preparer. Okay, so I thought about it because I saw the flags watching an episode on YouTube. And then I came across a couple days later on YouTube a TED Talk about this guy who was going on and on about like why city flags are like the worst design flags
seen
in the
that,
world.
actually, yeah.
You have? Oh, it's so good. The guy's a great speaker. But so Salina's city flag. Do you know what it like off the top of your head?
Isn't it just the lighthouse and crap with the seal? Isn't it just the seal
isn't
on
our
our
seal and it's just baby blue
It's
or
like
something
green
like
and
that?
then blue below it. So like the blue represents the lake. I'm assuming green's like agriculture, but like the number 2 rule or whatever on like what not to do with a city flag is to put a seal on it. And so that's just all Salina's is. So I was thinking this week, if you had to remake Salina's city flag, like what would you incorporate into that to best represent? Like, so I think the lake and like farming is a good idea, but like how would you change that up a little bit?
Dang.
It's tough without having like, you don't have one to be like, this is what I see and like, but
Yeah.
This is a great question for Frank specifically, the graphic designer.
exactly.
The
I'd
artist
probably
and
have,
group.
I'd
User
probably have
experience is
a blue, like a blue center,
Okay.
and then
Is it going to be rectangle shaped?
it would be shaped like a flag. So like a blue center symbolizing the lake, and then it's split to each corner, and maybe like green and then white.
I like it.
Seems a little racist to me.
It's a color.
Here we go.
It's a color.
Exactly. No, I like that. Like, cause like the green and the white, then you got like, cause the idea of a flag is like people would be like rally behind it. Like this is
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So you got the green and the white, go dogs.
Yeah.
And then you got the blue to represent. Yeah,
When
I like
the
that.
green also represents like farming,
Oh yeah. There's got more than one meaning. I like
and the
that.
white is somewhat peace. Like
Now we just need to rally the listeners and some more people behind
Vote
it
on
and change
get
the
him
flag
in.
of Salina. That would be
there
pretty
you go.
sweet.
Well, I mean, they're changing the name of Columbus to Flavortown, so I think we can
saw
change the.
I hope that happens so much.
They took down the Columbus statue
they
outside
took
this.
the- yeah.
that's
So,
terrible.
Columbus?
Step
Oh,
one. They're
boy.
getting closer.
Flavortown.
The statues were a weird place to go, I think. But
I think-
It's just a
if they
statue.
change the name to Flavortown, it's all worth it.
I don't know.
care about the
That's
statue.
a weird thing to go.
Flavortown.
That's usually what happens with Marxist revolutions, that they go and destroy all art of that shows any meaningful
It's like when
semblance of
they
history.
tore down the Saddam Hussein statue, you know?
It's a regime change.
Yeah.
There you go.
Here's what I think about it. Like, I think, like, if I look back on history objectively, I think Christopher Columbus was probably kind of an asshat.
I don't think so. I think
But
he was a baller,
did get on a
dude.
boat in what?
I mean, sailed the ocean blue in
1492.
Imagine
balls.
going to like who was it? He first went to England and he's like, "Hey, can you fund me for sailing just into the ocean?" And then England's like, "Hell no!" And he goes to another country and they're like, "Hell no!" Goes to Spain and they're like, "Yeah, okay, we're pretty soft here. Go for it."
So that
whatever
was like the
country.
respect, like, because that man,
Sailing
he
into
didn't
the
know where he was.
unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
Unknown.
For all they knew, that man was going
That's
to
what I
drop off
mean,
into the
dude.
map.
He had no idea he was going to kill people because of a disease.
I think
Like,
there's a different way that, like, rather than ripping them down, like, those statues should be relocated to things like the
museum.
Holocaust Museum, like that symbolize what happened, and you can go and learn about these events, rather than just be like, "Fuck it, we're gonna melt this thing down." Like, we need to keep these historical memorabilia to remind us of why we don't want to do what Christopher Columbus did and go to a country and kill everybody.
I found it funny because in Seattle, one of the statues that's still standing in Seattle is of Lenin. And like where that statue came from, I was reading about it. It came from, I believe, Bulgaria. During the Marxist revolution in Bulgaria, somebody in the United States wanted to save it. So they paid for it to be transferred to Seattle. And that's where it stayed since then. And it's like, literally, you're keeping that up, and that's how the story behind it is too.
I also think it's just weird to, like, statues in general are the weirdest shit. Like,
they're
They
made
show
to
history. Some people
Yeah.
learn a lot from statues. Like I was talking to one of my uncles about it. He said, "When I go to a city, the first thing I do whenever I see a statue, go up and see if I can read anything about it. I just want to learn about it. Learn about some
Tradition.
history
Oh, yeah.
of the city or wherever it
yeah.
is."
Well, I think
so
about-
he's pretty upset about the whole thing. But
why mark graves? Like if you don't want to remember the past, like what's the point of doing that?
I don't think I want mine marked.
Unmarked.
Yeah.
Unmarked.
Let it
Just
go.
a slate.
Nah.
But you get what I'm saying.
it.
It's like that's
Nothing,
just a way to remember the fallen, just as a statue is too.
I think there's a lot of good ways to look at what Christopher Columbus did, and there's a lot of bad ways too. But either way,
Which goes with
It-
anybody's
it-
life. Like, you
it's
could look at
still
my
our-
life
it's
and
still our
scrutinize
No one
it.
is perfect.
Exactly.
That's my
It's still
problem.
our past. Like, come on. Like, we gotta
yeah, the
learn
most
from our
important-
past.
like,
I'll tell you what, if you take a boat and sail into the unknown and find something sweet,
You build me a statue?
I'll build you a statue.
I will tear that shit down.
I just wanna see
Sorry,
you tear it
I will tear it down.
I would love to see anyone that wants to tear down that like the statue of Columbus go and try to do that.
yeah.
Oh, you can't anymore. It's been done.
Well, no, I mean even if you tried,
true.
I guarantee they couldn't do it with modern technology.
You tell them that, and they'll just go get like a Carnival cruise ticket, and then just be
Exactly.
Like, "I went to the Bahamas
Oh,
for
yeah,
6
no.
days. I was on a boat.
What? Didn't someone die? They're pulling down a statue and it fell on someone.
Oh yeah, it ripped his like half his face
Yeah,
off.
it
He
killed
didn't
him.
die, I believe, but like
he
you
didn't
see it
die?
on video,
Oh.
he just first of all, he's like right underneath where they're pulling it, and you just hits him and rips his face off.
R.I.P. Chaz.
Stupid.
By the way,
Did
Oh,
it go
yeah.
down?
they went down.
Yeah.
They
Heck yeah,
ran out
dude.
of food. They're done.
They started like they started having segregated zones, like black only zones, and everything. I thought that was really counterintuitive.
Well, the whole
Yeah.
thing was counter to like walls, guns, but oh well. Who cares?
rebelling.
I'm glad they went for it. And anyone
get
who
the
was out
energy.
there, I bet they had a good time.
Yeah,
I-
they definitely
I-
had a party, I bet. But
I'm not glad they did it. Like 5 people were killed. Like
Yeah,
shot.
I think that
Fallen soldiers, they deserve statues, Frank. They went and started their own fucking country when no one else said they
One of the
could.
guys, I think, is
Inside of a
one of the guys who was shot in it is suing the police department for not coming to his aid.
that's dumb. So you should, like,
You reap what
you've
you
got
sow.
that
Think
much
about all the
energy.
Reap what you
businesses
sow.
there, dude. All those businesses were held at gunpoint just to be there. Like, imagine like there was residents that were coming out saying like they were held at gunpoint, like almost immediately leaving.
it was, yeah, I think, like, I love the fact that people have energy to want to make a change, but that's just not the right way to make the change.
That's a tough change.
We're
to
a
make
republic.
anyway.
We're a
yeah.
civilized society. Like we can't.
I wonder if they could have actually made it work. That would have been
No.
pretty.
I think maybe
Frank says no.
maybe
I
if
don't
you're
think
in
so
like,
either.
in
I
like
really don't.
rural Washington and you're just by yourself, like because people live like that communally. But if you do that in the middle of downtown
Well,
Seattle,
why not
think-
do
I
that?
think they
Why
call that
not
a
do
cult.
that? Why not go buy some
Exactly.
land and
Which
create your
people
own
do that.
community?
That's like
yeah,
that's a growing trend
it's
in
too
California.
hard.
well,
it's
yeah,
too hard.
yeah, exactly. That's
They
the
actually
main
have to
reason.
live. They actually have
Yeah,
to do
you got to
stuff.
find food and shit. You can't just steal it.
Buy the land.
They can't. They will have to figure out how to make electricity. I think I read something that they were building like a hydroelectric dam or something.
They were trying.
I thought to myself, I was just like, you guys can't even like grow any food.
They
Like,
had a couple engineers who
Oh,
were
great.
all in. They're probably going to lead the society.
Probably never touched a tool in their life.
Given 4 more months, that place would have been the next utopia. That would have been the next. What's a good utopia?
Third world country.
Yeah, that would have been the next Madagascar.
It definitely. I don't think there was like a good outcome that was. To
I think
come
they had
from
the
that,
they had the
I don't think
highest
there's very
they
much
have the
good outcome
highest
out of it.
homicide rate per capita, I believe now.
I mean, okay, that's a skewed statistic because it was like a few hundred people killing each other.
It's
the truth, though.
In Minneapolis, where like they defund the police and stuff, and one night there's like 21 murders or something like that.
What do you guys think about
shooting.
the whole defund?
Terrible
the police?
idea.
So I think I'm actually I'm a supporter, but I don't think that defund is the right
No.
word. I think reorganizing the funds
I think-
of the police is what it should be.
Do away with victimless crimes, and then abolish police unions. Because why do we have shitty cops that have gotten like in trouble for misconduct numerous times? Because the unions don't allow them to be fired.
I agree with both those. I'm going to add one to it too. There needs to be a national database of police officers because officers in some cases will commit like brutality and then they'll just move like 2 towns down and then just get another job. So that if that's tracked, then they're not going to get a more higher paying job to be like, oh, you got experience. Like it's not going to.
And that's such a
block,
modern
but-
thing. Like I feel like that's just like was bound to happen.
Exactly. And that's like the same way like my job works. If I move to another job, they're going to reach out to my past employers. So like it should be the same case.
They should be doing that anyways, right?
Dude, they had
doesn't
a
happen,
crazy
man.
background on me at Salina.
Really?
And they called everybody.
That's good. I've just read nothing but bad stories about like Bay Area in California where people just
Well, it's mainly just
things
the
and they just
big
bounce on the
city
street.
centers. Is like that's where most of the corrupt cops can be.
and you can still live in the same house and just work a town over and still get to work. So like it's not like where Salina you've got to like move to St.
Well,
Mary's. or
plus,
somewhere
like you
farther away.
don't,
You don't
it's-
necessarily have to.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't know everyone there, so it doesn't really matter like who sees you doing something or whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause you're never gonna
I
see
think
them.
we need to make cops cool again. So there's this whole issue right now. This is going to be serious. I mean, Jacob should be a cop right now, but he can't because the laws are so fucked. You know what I mean? Or what do you have to deal with is so fucked. Like, Jacob's a great guy. He'd be a great leader and enforcer of our community if it didn't suck so bad. Like, the shit you have to deal with, a lot of that stuff, it sounds like you shouldn't have to deal with.
Like I don't think you should be dealing with drug addictions, anything mental health like that. There should be mental health like facilities available for these people or resources that should be reaching
Well,
out.
they just everything they become corrupted.
Dude,
Because that's what happened when they were
hard.
mental asylums. They became corrupted. They started testing on them, and then what else are you supposed to do then?
I think the idea is like a similar unit to like a police where they've got like you've got marked cars and you go out on calls and stuff. Where it's like rather than the 911 operator being like nearest officer needs to get to this address, being like okay, here's what actually is happening. Send these resources. The problem is it's tough to on the
I think,
No,
fly.
no,
I
yeah,
think it's, I
it's-
think it's
okay,
a cop
so-
out. I think a
Yeah,
lot.
I want to hear what style
like,
is.
so
This man knows it. He's on the inside.
That sounds reactive, right? I like right now this country is reacting. It's always reacting.
Yeah.
Let's go the opposite direction and let's like be proactive and have cops actually we need cops to go there because in any situation you don't know what the hell's going on. All right. And like I always hear like these stories of like police brutality. I just call it people brutality because people are pieces of crap and they do dumb stuff and they are mean. People are. But like they always hear, well, it's just an 80-year-old man. Like, what's he going to do? Like, I don't know. How do you know? You don't know what's his intent and his heart and his mind. He could have a gun. You have no idea.
I think that's the toughest thing about it.
I mean, an 80-year-old can still beat the crap out of you and still kill you.
Definitely
It's so it's such a hard thing. I honestly think the only way that we can fix what's going on in this world is if people instead of pointing, hey, you need to be fixed. I need to be fixed.
Personal responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Personal responsibility, and maybe change my perspective. So, like, if someone says something mean to me, maybe I should just change my perspective on what that person said, and it doesn't bother me anymore. It's gone.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like,
empathy across the board just needs to be raised for everybody.
And
But that's easier said than done.
Exactly.
How do you
Oh,
actually make a different person
Controlling
feel
people
that
is the
way?
hardest
Yeah,
thing to do.
exactly.
You make people be personally responsible.
It's the easiest. It's the only solution. Easy, but it's the hardest solution because people don't want to change themselves. They're not going to admit that they're wrong. It's not going to happen.
Plus, they only look at it in the short term because it's like they think to themselves like, oh, the whole next year will be so shitty if like we legalize all drugs because all the gangbangers and everything will be running around legally. And it's like, yeah, but look at the look at the forest for the trees, or look at the trees for the forest.
Speaking of trees, that's another bone I got to pick. Come back from California and that shit's illegal out here. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
What are you talking about?
Soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not criminalizing myself here. I have not done anything illegal. Soon, what is it? It's like medical in Ohio.
Yeah, but I
Just
think it's
oil,
on the
isn't it?
ballot or something like it.
The fact that like every state that borders Indiana has some sort of legalization, and Indiana people are getting like put under for having a dime bag of weed on. It's like you got to open your fucking eyes about that. I mean, that's just tough.
my dad said when he was a kid, they would if they really wanted pot, kids would go to Indiana and drive along the ditches in the country because pot would be grown in the ditches. Yeah. It grew that because that's why they call it
Mike
weed.
Pence hates it so much.
I don't know.
He thought
just
pot
a
was just
minor
like a
misdemeanor.
dandelion, and he hates it.
It's just a minor misdemeanor here.
Yeah.
For,
Yeah.
Which is a speeding ticket, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which is a step in the right direction. It's just
I don't
weird
like
to
getting
like.
speeding tickets either, though.
My problem is that you can be criminalized for it for other crimes based on that.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, say if I just had it in my car, like I could get a drug tested. Said I was under the influence of marijuana or something like that, and like I could have smoked 2 days before, but if I got drug tested,
I don't mean, I've had a lot of people ask that, like, well, I smoked a couple days ago. I'm not smoking right now, and they're gonna piss. I'm gonna piss dirty, and someone tried to explain something to me, and it kind of went right over my head because it was all scientific. But I don't know anything. I can't.
It definitely seems a little fishy.
that's what I
And
mean.
I
Like
think it
it's
comes
just,
down against the enforcer, and like you got to realize that that's,
that's what I
probably
mean.
not the best way to get someone in trouble for
and that's why
driving intoxicated.
that's why I'm against it even
Dude,
being a
it-
misdemeanor because that it just allows
can't-
it's a gateway to be opened that you can be you can be arrested for other things.
Or you worry about that for a lot of things, though, because we all
Which
do
is not
illegal
good.
shit every day, probably.
We shouldn't
Oh,
be in a
yeah.
nanny state. This is where we're all in like a nanny state mentality where it's like we got to be fearful because mom's gonna get mad
Which is
at us.
divisive too when it comes to interacting with law enforcement. Because like, if I see a cop, I won't even be doing anything illegal. I could have nothing in my car that would be of worry. But
You're just
my
like-
first thought is like, oh god, oh god, oh god. Like
Yeah.
like it's. And
like
it's,
we
for
drove-
some people, the fear is obviously way higher because I'm not a person of color who has to worry about that in some places. But
The war on drugs militarized the police. That's what my dad said. Really, when all the police started really getting like they had a lot more power was when Nancy Reagan started
But
like mobs against drunk
It
driving.
is a
and
sketchy situation because there's a video of these two guys robbing a bank in California, and they are in like body armor, like full suit body armor, and they have like machine guns. And the cops literally couldn't do anything to stop them. They're walking down the street by a truck, like on the door, just gunning down cops. And they couldn't. What the cops had to do was break into a gun store nearby and take the rifles from there because all they had was weak pistols at that point. So after that, all their munitions got stronger.
well, I guarantee you that if that guy would have done the same place in a rural where a sheriff probably had just a rifle at home, the sheriff probably would have went and got his rifle and killed him in a shot
Maybe so.
because a rifle would
I
go
mean,
through.
he probably lives a bunch of miles away, and you just let that guy go.
Well, it's
we-
like
we-
half the
we
time
carry
you can just
rifles.
half the
We-
time
we-
it's
we
just
carry
like
rifles now.
let them do it and then just catch them afterwards. Like,
Not if they're killing people.
well, yeah, if they're obviously, but if they're like robbing a bank or something and there's no hostages or
People
whatever,
get away with that shit. Remember the time we were in Athens?
oh man, what was that? Freshman or sophomore? I don't
Yeah.
remember. But yeah, bank like just outside of campus got robbed, and like we got like text updates or like not like Amber Alert, but like emergency alert was like, yeah, there's a bank robbed, and like emails from the university like, stay safe, is on this side of town. Never caught him.
They got away with that shit.
I got
dude.
I got texted when this dude right off campus, like really shortly off campus, got killed, got murdered. Well, they've like sent out mass texts. Like I remember that was crazy.
I turned those off my like the emergency alert texts. I turned them back on when I was in California because they would send like updates on like what like the restrictions were for going out in public and stuff. But oh man, when I first moved out there, like in the first 2 weeks, I had like 4 texts that was like missing person,
Amber alerts.
robbery, and I'm just like, I don't want to see this shit every day. What the
Yeah.
hell? Who wants to see that?
Is it weird coming back to Salina, like from San Francisco?
Oh yeah, it's weird definitely because of coronavirus. Because out there, like people
Everything's-
are still living in fear, and like I was scared for a good majority of that. It's way different because of the riots seems like that are going on out there. Some of them still, but like I went to some marches and things like that. Like because the way it was out there is much different than what you see like the videos like people like
Oh,
busting
yeah.
windows. It was like people would have like it looked like Lake Fest, like tents set up, some people would be selling food or just handing out food and water. Some people would like, they'd have pamphlets out and they'd be like, here's what we raise money for. So like
nice.
for me, it was just a learning. Like I went there and I was just picking up pamphlets and talking to people to figure out like, what does your organization do? Why do you believe we should be out here? Like, cause that's not an issue that was like close to my heart or anything before what started.
When were you
happening.
down? When were you last there?
I moved back 2 weeks ago today. 2 weeks ago Saturday. So
They just started up around that area. Like the riots last week were getting pretty bad.
yeah, things are starting to peak again. But yeah, I mean, like Oakland was pretty far from Oakland. That was pretty tough.
Well,
San
Oakland's
Jose
already
was
tough by
Oakland-
itself.
Well, I went out in Oakland last summer when I was there interning. We walked into a club and we're sitting in line to get into this club and we're like, this is like the weirdest like line. Like, I don't know. It was like a weird looking, like it just, the setup outside was uncomfortable, but it wasn't enough to like make you turn. You're just kind of like, I've never seen it like this. You get to the door, there's metal detectors and we were kind of like, I've never gone into a bar with a metal detector, but maybe it's just California. Like, I don't know. Go through, turn the corner, guy just standing there with a full machine gun. He's got security on his chest, just standing there, just looking at us. And I'm just like, I look out into the club and it's just a bunch of people just going ape shit crazy. It looked like fun. I was like, oh, I want to get out there. But looked at my friends and I was like, we were all like, yeah.
Was it all black dudes?
Majority, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were definitely some, like a decent mix, but it was majority African American. But when I saw the dude I turned the corner, he was just holding like an AR, and I was just like, oh, this bar is not just a casual place to get a beer. The metal detector should have been the first sign, but
Should have dove in there, dude. If you're just a couple,
dude, they were going nuts. I was like, this was crazy. And there was like a dance floor, and then there was like a level that was like 3 feet up. So there's like kind of 2 dance floors, and I don't know, it looked sweet, but never worked out. So we went from city flags to police brutality. That was quite the conversation.
You want to take a break quick?
I'm all right with
I'm
it.
down.
Yeah.
I gotta pee.
That's cool. We're back.
We're back. Dude,
What's up, everybody?
CB, I have a question. Not really a question, but more of a statement. You had a muscle turned to a bone?
CP might
Dude, that
be
was a
world
long
record
time ago.
holder.
But dude, that is awesome. Tell us about that.
So
I want to learn about
technically,
that.
I should still be in the record books. I think I haven't like kept up to date with it. But funny you asked that too, because like 2 weeks ago, out of nowhere, Ryan Hoying DM me on Instagram. He's like, I was telling my friend about your injury in high school, and everyone says it's bullshit. So I had to clear it up with him. But yeah, so long story short, high school basketball game at Lima Senior, junior year. I'm in the paint I should have taken a charge, hindsight 2020, but I tried to go up and block the shot. The dude kneed me in the thigh, and I was like, oh, I got a fucking Charlie horse. Like, it felt like that. It was just like, this hurts. This is goofy. At halftime, Amy Hoying was like, help me stretch it out and stuff. Felt fine. A week or two later, I was like, man, my leg just still hurts. And I just assumed, like, I'm just a weak little guy. I got tiny legs, got no meat to protect me. It's just going to hurt for a while. I'll be fine. Then all of a sudden, it's maybe like 2-3 weeks after everything went down. It's like 2-3 in the morning. I wake up, take a piss, roll out of bed, stand up, and my right leg just nothing. Just like folds, I fall down. And I'm just like, whoa, maybe my leg's asleep. So I like lift myself back up to the bed because I like couldn't feel my foot or anything. I was like, maybe I just like slept on it goofy. No feeling, nothing. Get back on the bed, try to stand up again, fall again. And I'm like, okay, I think something's wrong. Because it's been like 3 minutes since I woke up. Freaking out. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm not going to go. I lost all desire to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm just going to go back to bed. I don't want to be paralyzed.
I'm sleeping this off.
Yeah, I'm like, this is scary. I was like, maybe I'm just dreaming or something. Wake up the next morning, same thing. Can't move my leg, can't feel anything in my toes, my whole leg, no feeling. So I'm like, this is a problem. Go to the doctor's office. They basically are like, we don't know what the hell's going on. They did like some scans and stuff. Didn't really show anything. Put me on crutches. This bastard, one time you knocked me over in the school parking lot on ice. I'm just crutching. I think you like kicked one out from under me and I just fucking went down. It's funny now, but then I was like, God, it was like the first or second day too. But yeah, and then long story short, I don't know if it was like a CAT scan or, I don't think it was an MRI. I think it was from a CAT scan where it came up, but my muscle had calcified. So like when you get bruised, your body's response is send some calcium to help like alleviate that. My body basically was like, all the calcium in your body is going. So the bone that formed was blocking my nerves that were firing. So that's why I couldn't use or feel anything in my legs. And turns out the bone growth was like about 8 to 10 inches long. It's like 2 inches thick. So it's basically a second
Holy
femur.
cow.
And
I didn't know it was that big.
yeah, so and it like kind of wrapped, like it followed like I don't know which muscle it was, but it like kind of followed like the pattern of the muscle. But then the therapist I was working with in Coldwater, like to her, she was just like, there's nothing on the books how to take care of this. It's called myositis ossificans. A lot of people get it like in their shoulders, they'll get like little tiny beads
I have
things like that.
my AC joint when it's separated calcified.
Yeah, and like around injuries, you'll have like a couple little tiny like nuggets or whatever of like growth. But yeah, they were like, we've never seen, like we've had some people who've got like a 2 or 3 inch on their forearm from like a bad injury or something. So like doctors from Columbus were coming up to like Coldwater to work with stuff. I was going there. I went there a couple of times to do stuff. But yeah, it turns out my bone growth was like the largest recorded one in human history.
Not a big
It was
deal.
on the paper. Not a huge deal.
That's a big deal to me.
But the problem was,
God damn.
and this is going to piss me off to the end of my life, is I was 17. And so in all of the like medical journals, because like they were like wrote papers about it and like about the like recovery process.
They couldn't use her name.
Yep. So it's just a 17-year-old from Ohio, and that's who I am, I guess, forever. But if my name would have been attached to that, that would have been so badass.
So you can honestly
That
say
would've
that you
been
peaked
sweet.
in high school.
Dude, I knew that if it wasn't that. I definitely did. No, but
That's not the peak.
that was not the peak. No.
World record holder.
Yeah.
This
Hey,
kid doesn't settle.
small goals, I'm always kidding. Yeah, it was. But the weirdest thing was like to get rid of it. We basically just like those like TENS units, like the pads you put on your muscles and you like shock the muscles. We just soak those in like high strength vinegar, put them on, and it would just the electric current would like,
Remove the
push.
cow.
But another crazy thing too is I went to the dentist during this time, and they checked my teeth because they were like, okay, if all the calcium is like, we're curious if it's doing like damage to other parts of your body or if your bones are getting weaker in other parts because they didn't want like my femur to get.
Don't tell me
below
your
that.
teeth just like increase in calcium.
No, dude, I had like 30 cavities because that calcium fled from there and
No
went,
shit.
What?
They were like, we're not going to do anything about the cavities. Like your teeth still seem to be like they can get through this if it starts to go back.
Yeah.
And so after like 2 months of doing the treatment, 0 cavities. It forced my body to dissolve, reabsorb that calcium, and then reallocate to the right places. Shout out to me. I know.
That's funny. Man.
Humans are crazy.
I didn't
Dude,
know
we're
you
just,
did that
we're just
one.
a community of 60 trillion cells.
Exactly.
We're just a brain and a meat armor.
That's like the only time my body's been like, let's get on the same page for something.
What? We are in one crazy system. Like, what is this? Like, what are we?
Water
It's
and empty
awesome.
space.
It is-
Elon hits the blunt once. What is this? Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. And
Dude, that's so impressive how
I still have,
much
like, a little
your
piece.
body adapts. You still have a piece? Like
yeah,
a
there's
knob?
like an inch, maybe like an inch long piece.
Can you feel it?
I think that's a different inch long piece you're talking
Yeah.
about.
that I don't want to say my pickup line. I got a bone in my leg. You want one between yours? And I could use that more often, but I don't.
I say use it
God,
as much
any
as
girl
possible.
you say that to with that mustache is lucky.
That's true. The problem is then I have to tell the whole story, and then they're like, "Cool," and they're at the bar and like, "I want to get a drink," and then I
That's
just
then
they call me
you know
weird.
they're not the
the one.
Yeah.
I'm only out there looking for wifey,
Yeah.
She's
So,
not impressed by your bones. You tell her to get out.
yeah. Priority number 1 in a mate: good bones. Oh yeah,
Jeez, you get a
CB,
bone.
you're on the Yang gang.
I am.
Andrew Yang, 2020. What do you have to say about him?
Well, he's not going to be elected in 2020. He might get some write-ins here or there. I think there are some things that are needed immediately that he thinks, and there are some things that, like UBI, like probably not the right time. But I think it's like it's smart to at least consider these rather than like I think a lot of people
talk
at
about
face value.
universal basic income a little bit. That's UBI.
Yeah. So the idea is every person in the U.S. gets $1,000 a month, regardless of income, any other stipulation. You're going to get that. If you already have like $800 a month in other like social benefits, then you're only going to get $200, or you can supplement the $800 for the full $1,000. So it's not like people are just going to like you're already on benefits, you're going to get dumped more. But the idea is, at least Andrew Yang's idea is a VAT tax, value added tax. So companies like Amazon who pay virtually $0 in taxes a year, then anytime you buy, they're getting taxed on their supply chain, on the process of you buying that online. Like that's how you find a way to tax them rather than giving them loopholes to get out of it. And that alone is enough to pay for about half of it. And then with people reorganizing how they take the money, if people are going to start sacrificing things like food stamps, that covers part of it. The reason I think that it's a good idea is not necessarily like the fact that it's economically somewhat feasible. It's just the idea that, especially at a time like this, and like the point was like, yeah, you're supposed to get a stimulus check. I wasn't qualified for one because my parents put me on their tax return for the last year. But people I knew out in California were like, I'm in need of this, got laid off, and we're just not getting it. And it's like, in 2020, I can sit here and I can pay either of you guys $1,000 just by Venmoing you.
Mhm.
How can our government, who has the strongest power to do anything,
But why would you
should.
expect them to be able to do a UBI then?
Are you saying like immediately?
They already suck at passing out the stimulus. How do you expect
Well, I'm saying
them to pass
that's part of the. That's why I don't think it's like immediate. It's because like
Yeah.
we need to have an infrastructure where, if like a situation like this, our government should be able to be like, okay, people need some support to get through what's happening. Here's the money, rather than like you apply online and then 2 weeks later you have to call this number, and then 4 weeks after that you get a letter that says you still need to send in this information. It's like all that red tape, things like that. So I think there's like there's steps that need to happen before then. That needs.
You think it's people should have savings?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that's smart. And the interesting thing is, at least in Andrew Yang's book, he talks about it, and is in a lot of cases where they've done like Camden, New Jersey, who's done a lot of police reform stuff, but they've also had universal incomes for some of their population. And in other parts of the U.S., it's happened at different like 2 or 3 year increments. Canada's done a couple like 5-year studies, but in most cases, people who have the lowest income or lowest savings beforehand save more per month of the 1,000 because they've already been taught. And obviously, there's some people who are just spend their money like jackasses and they buy $1,000 worth of Twinkies a month with it. But like most people who are already on an economically like risky situation, their thought is $1,000. I can save this. This can get me farther. And so the idea is you want to believe in the goodwill of people to like be smart with that.
And that's the problem I have with it. It doesn't take in human nature.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, I mean,
communism on a small scale works great. Don't get me wrong. Like it works great on a small scale, but when you scale it up, it sucks.
If you look at all the pros, it's fucking awesome. But if you look at the cons, then you're like,
There's definitely
Yeah.
it's a scary thing, and to do it'd be. I would want somewhere else to test it first and see if they could make it go.
The one thing is, so Iran's been doing it for like, I think it's been almost 10 years now, and that's people aren't going to ever take. Iran pays every single person in the country $16,000 a year.
But here's the thing: there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Well,
Like
yeah.
you're saying that someone has to pay for it.
Yeah, somebody's
sure.
got to pay for it. And you say that like what the corporations will pay for it, Amazon's not getting taxed. But what happens when Amazon leaves? Because they're getting taxed too much. Because I mean, if I was a company and I'm getting, this is literally what happened to Greece because they started taxing the rich more to pay for all of these social
Yeah.
programs, and they left. Then like this is what's happening in New York. New York is in a budget deficit, budget deficit because they don't have enough money because of like 400,000 of the richest already left just because of the COVID. That's where my biggest problem is that there is no such thing as a free lunch and somebody's going to pay for it. And if there's no one that's going to pay for it, that means we will pay for it by our savings, which is inflation.
Yeah, so that's the thing that like there's more than one piece to the puzzle. You can't just like implement it and it work. Because like there's got to be the whole like governmental process of like working alongside Amazon to be like, look, if you're going to do this, are you just going to jump ship? Because we can't just put this in stone and then you just leave and then half of the tax revenue we expected to get. So like there's all that fine stuff that needs to be worked out.
And
But
I mean, to me, anything you say like, well, the government should do it. Well, I mean, if you look at every single government thing ever, it's slower than crap. It sucks, and
we should hold them accountable. Like
It's like when they introduced the welfare state, when Johnson introduced the welfare state in the 60s, all wages dropped. All wages were collapsed. Wages have not risen since the introduction of the
I think
welfare
UBI
state.
will drop wages too.
Yeah.
But like if you look at, I'm not going to say, so for example, say I got paid like $40,000 was my flat salary. If my employer knew that I was going to get paid another $12,000 a year, they would sign me for $30,000 and I would still have a $2,000 increase in what I was getting paid before. So to me, I'm still like, oh, I'm up $2K. Cool. Like I don't necessarily need an additional $12K on top of what I have. So like, I think there'll be like some things will adjust like that. But
to me, it's kind of like it'd be creating a serfdom, like a true serfdom, where it's like you have feudals, the aristocrats, funneling some of their money to make all of the rest somewhat happy.
It would only work a little bit even if they did it right, and it'd be hard for me, or I think a lot of people, to have faith that they would be able to put a system in like that and have it work like they want it.
They don't have their website
Yeah.
doesn't even work half the time. Like
oh,
yeah.
dude,
Which is like,
yeah,
we were
those are
sending people
terrible.
to space in 1968. And now we can't even run a damn unemployment website or something like that. Like the unemployment website in Ohio was down for like a whole week.
No,
it got hacked too. It's like
which is
For
it's so
contract-
unacceptable. That should not just happen casually.
For contracting, like all you have to do is just put some documents, drawings, some specs, and all that stuff on a website. They can't do it.
Which is
They can't do it.
It's because they got a bunch of old bastards who are sitting there doing nothing.
No,
and getting
probably a
paid
lot
to
of
do
them are
nothing.
pretty young now. Most of them
They
are
gotta
probably
get their shit together then.
Exactly. I think there's
I think
more
it's when we
incentive in
have-
them delaying the process because then they can just get people to just drag along rather
This
than
is what I was talking
delivering what
about.
they
The
should deliver.
unions, like the police unions, the unions have kept people from being held accountable for their jobs because then they don't have to worry about being fired because if they are fired, they'll just say, "Well, you fired me because you were sexist," and
Term
then the
limits,
union,
dude.
the union will back them up,
We
and no one
need
wants
term
to.
limits.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's way too much freedom for someone to go into office, do whatever the hell they want for 30 years, and while they're doing that, to just funnel money to a business and then just leave that the government and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be an advisor on your board for the next 20 years and get paid another $2 million a year." Like that should not happen. And there should be stipulations in place where if you're in government, if you're working on regulations in an industry, you should not be allowed to transfer into that industry because it's a clear path to just funnel
most of
yourself
them,
into a
pretty much
situation.
all of them do that.
Exactly, which is it's like a horrible system that just separates people even farther. I think that's a problem.
And
We could go on and on about problems.
Yeah, I don't think that's like the thing of all the strife in America. It's like I don't think it has anything to do with racism. I think it's class. It's class based.
And a lot of people who are on the Black Lives Matter train will say that same thing.
Yeah, but the Black
They're a little
Lives
intertwined.
that just is. They just want stuff that's completely irrational.
I mean, you can't say that about the whole group. There's
Yeah, not the
I
whole
mean,
group.
I'll show you their website. You ever read their website?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure if you go to
I donated money to him a couple months ago.
Well, you donated to the Democratic Party.
Attaboy, CB.
That wouldn't be the first time I'd done that too. Sorry, Mom.
Christian's about to be on the streets.
Oh, they've been getting
Oh, yeah.
DDoSed.
Yeah, that's the way it looks. Holy cow.
This is still better than the government's websites. So.
Yeah, it's got a nice UI. I like that. Sign up for I love the pop-ups too.
Yeah, 'cause
every
you got
single
only 20-year-olds to
donate. They got me.
You got
though.
just a bunch of 20-year-olds making it. Where was it?
Gotta love the youth in the country, eh?
4 guys on a computer.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Like, it's the problem is, and I don't want to say the problem is, but like with a movement like this, I think the smart way to look at it.
We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure by requiring support. So they want to destroy the family. That is what that's saying. They want to we want to destroy the normal Western family.
But the
And we
idea
want-
is that
we want to dismantle the.
I would have to bet a huge portion of the people out there marching and making a difference couldn't give a fuck about what this website
This is
says.
what this is what the organization is fighting for.
But it's
the
like,
second half of that sentence, though, said to be a community that supports one another, which I agree with. I think that people in communities, if you've got resources, should support other
So
people
we
in your
should
community.
force other people to be responsible.
I don't think it should be
for
forced.
That's well. How else do you do it?
I think communities do support each other.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's just, like with anything.
Why is there
on
crime then? Why like?
So what
It's just human nature.
do you
It's
guys
probably
what do you
the
guys think those majority of people are marching for?
To make a difference, I think a lot of people are just frustrated.
From my
I
opinion
mean-
of being at one of the marches, I think it was at least from the way I felt about like going to tables and talking to people, and from hearing from people that I was walking alongside with, it was I'm here to add numbers to the because a lot of the people that we're marching to are probably not gonna be able to vote because if you've got a felony on your record, you can never vote again. Things like that, and some people are just not going to vote. But if you if you're a part of the group that's out there saying, "Look, there's more than just a few people that want to make a change. There's people of diverse background that want something to happen." Like I firmly believe that there should be.
Then they shouldn't be
change the
able
way
to
that
change
happens.
it if they're not voting for it. They have you. That's the point of the republic: is we vote on things, and if a majority agrees,
I think the republic is a bad system.
I think so too.
I think
Direct
no.
democracy.
But I think also like the fact that
No,
a
direct
felony
democracy doesn't
limits you
work.
from voting the
Here's
rest of your
my
life.
idea. This
Well,
is
don't commit the
an idea
felony.
that'll never happen.
That's true.
It's pretty easy, and you can vote.
I think it should.
There's
probably, I think
consequences
it should,
about everything you fucking
I think it
do.
should probably depend on the felony you commit, and I think most felonies you commit are lame as fuck, anyways.
So it kind of comes back to fix
person.
yourself. Like,
But also
you have
as a-
consequences on everything that you do.
Like as a system,
So
a jail is supposed to be a rehabilitation system where people can go in, learn about the mistake they made, and find a way to be reintroduced back into society. I understand some people should stay in jail forever. If you kill someone, you shouldn't just be let back into society right away.
That's an actual crime.
Exactly.
That's
the
what,
idea is that
that's what I'm saying. Do away with victimless crimes. Then you only have
yeah.
the hardcore crimes. It's like you shouldn't be going to jail if you get caught with a flower or something like that.
I
Like,
mean, the victimless crime thing. I mean, there is some kind of like secondary effect to about every non-victimless crime. Like
Like what? Like their family's affected, or
The
something?
family's affected, or they
or
leave,
is it that's just their family did not care enough?
well, there's also things of you're doing this,
I think speeding,
And-
for example.
huh?
Speeding. It's a victimless crime until you wreck into someone, right?
Exactly.
So you kill someone or drinking and driving.
So you're making a law based on the
fact.
possibility of someone breaking law.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a law. How do you?
I agree with you,
because
Frank,
then
but
it's
I
completely up to
understand where you're coming
interpretation.
from.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to
I think
because
that's
like drugs kind of like. I mean, if you want to destroy your body, go for it. I don't care. There's some drugs that are perfectly fine.
People
but,
already do with McDonald's or whatever.
yeah,
else.
exactly. I'm not, but like,
Says the guy with 2 McChickens on the way over.
Hey.
well, the drug thing.
But-
All I have to, hey,
but I mean,
that-
like the needle, or like, what if that drug, if he leaves a drug or something, and a little kid comes by and eats the drugs? I don't.
Watch your damn
There's
kid.
always some kind of secondary thing. Exactly. You need to just.
And that kid's gonna have a great 15
But
minutes.
there only should be. You should only have laws for stuff that's like it. Sure, yes or no. You shouldn't have a law for something that's gray because then it's completely up to interpretation.
So-
And to have a law over something that's not even happened yet is terrible because then it's just like, hey, that person has a pound of heroin in their house. Okay, let's just raid his house. Like that's what happens when you have predictive laws, like which has happened. I mean, you get called like. Look on Twitch, people get swatted and
Dude,
stuff.
that
like,
was something I didn't really realize happened. You guys know about swatting?
On Twitch?
yeah, they'll find they'll get their address leaked, the
Yeah.
streamer, and then somebody will call the cops in their area and
so
say, "Hey,
someone-
this person has a gun and he has someone holding hostage."
People die
Like,
from it because like they come with the SWAT team to these people's houses, break in, and like a couple people
Assume
were
the
like,
worst.
being a
Because
little
there you go.
sketchy,
Because that's
and they got shot by the SWAT police.
it's a law that's trying to predict an outcome, which is you can't.
It's tough though because
This is reality.
If that
Reality
person
is
was in there with
chaos.
a bomb or whatever, you'd want to stop them.
It is. Reality is chaos. And I mean, I agree with you to a lot of the points, but I mean, there is always some kind of a secondary thing. And if I think we should just live free, like there's always going to be risk in everything that we ever do. And if people just take it on to themselves, like, okay, there's also other risk if I do this. How can I possibly do something?
We live in risky places. man.
Exactly.
I
That's
just
what
drove
I'm
for
saying.
10 hours yesterday. I was risking it the whole time. It's sketchy being on a highway.
Exactly.
No
I
matter
mean,
how fast you're going.
Yeah,
I was going
I know.
fast.
and
Well, it's just
I
half-
agree with you. It's
Half
just-
the deal is like you get a
it's hard.
dopamine rush when you feel safe and in comfort. So when you try to produce safety and comfort, people like that, but they might not like it downstream because they might be in an unsafe environment and just needs some outlet to become safe and comfortable again. So that's like the terrorism, the Patriot Act. The only reason why the Patriot Act happened was because people were so in panic, like, oh, we're going to get attacked again or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's whenever people are in panic and they will do anything to get out of, like, it's like a coon in a corner. The coon will do anything to get out of the corner. And same with the person's scared, they'll do anything not to be scared. Even though they might not say it, they want that. Which I think that's the problem with like all of these really quick changes. Like how you're saying, like if I'm just adding numbers to it, making it appear bigger. Like it's not a good thing because it's like, it's not reasonable. Like,
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying, like the point at yourself. Like, the biggest thing, at least from my point of view, and I'm 22, I don't know shit, but
That's
like,
not true, Christian. You're super smart.
hey, thanks, man. That was nice. Oh, start crying. No, it's just like, you gotta, like, I think it's, like, you're right, too. Like, there's some things where there's a gray area where I think you need to be prescriptive and, like, a safe, like, granted, some guy in his house with a bunch of guns, like, you kind of want to have at least an understanding of that in case, maybe not bust in the house and go crazy about it, but, like, to understand what could potentially happen. But at the same time, it's like, I think we just got to start seeing people on a person level rather than just like, he's a threat. Like, that's a human being who has reasons for doing what he's doing. Let's have a conversation about why you are distancing yourself from society by having a shitload of drugs and guns. Like, there's no reason. I don't think, and like, there shouldn't be so much polarity around it. It should be about the people who there's people with needs and people who are put into the corner where they need to find a way out of the corner. And it's like,
And a lot of times that
understand-
goes bad direction because, you know, you can put someone in a corner and they're going to fight back.
exactly.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Which is why if you approach the person in the corner as like,
officer.
you know, in a more kind-hearted way rather than like I'm showing up to the, like, if an officer shows up to the scene where there's like a mental health patient who's on a breakdown, you're just going to trigger that person more by coming with like a bunch of energy and like being in uniform. But if it's somebody who comes with like who's peaceful and is meant to address that,
do we cater all of society to the minority?
Yeah,
to a very extreme minority.
And another
I don't think it's a minority, man.
Do we train all cops to be social workers
It's definitely a minority.
I don't think we should train cops to be social workers.
No, but that's right. I get. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, is it?
You walk up on a situation and you literally have no idea what is going to happen.
Oh,
how are you? If you walk up to a situation that you got called to, how are you going to like? Are you going to be like, oh, this guy's a really good guy? Because you have no idea.
Yeah, I think definitely like already being in the driver's seat of a cop car puts you in the position of like, okay, the worst possible might happen. I've got a gun on my hip in case the worst happens. Like I'm ready to go. So you're already in that like position to be like, I'm prepared for the worst. That alone, I feel like is a mindset where you're coming in there. Even if you look at them very like neutrally, just as this is a case I need to take care of, you're still going to have that in the back of your head. So if there's an understanding, and obviously I don't know how it's going to work perfectly because like the person who calls in and reports it could be like, this guy's going fucking crazy. And then the cop that shows up is like, this guy's going crazy. And so like there's so many people, part of the process where it's the guy who calls and the 911 operator who defers to the judgment of who should go there. But like, I just think it's tough to.
That's why I'm sorry, Christian.
No, go ahead.
That's why I'm having such a hard time like listening to these riot stuff. They're calling for so much change. What are we going to do?
I think step number one
There's literally nothing. There's no legislation that can change people's hearts and minds. There's nothing that you can do to change hearts and minds unless that's perfect.
I think
you can try.
I think the
exactly.
way to do it is already done.
The what?
Like a lot of it's already kind of like, hopefully those thoughts and feelings that we all feel like now, and that I'm sure police officers are feeling, and communities everywhere are feeling. Black people, white people, doesn't matter. Like, hopefully that creates, I guess, better situations. Because now if I'm a cop, I might be like, I better not do this or do that because people put me on blast.
Yeah, I don't want to go viral on Twitter.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, it goes back to you. And then the other way around, you get cops caught on you.
Twitter
how am I going to...
There's only like 3 million Americans on Twitter.
Maybe I shouldn't do something wrong because a cop could fucking kill me. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the last 4 weeks there's been progress because like some people have been held accountable for what's happened. People are, at least from what I saw, people are having conversations about what's going on, and people are like, and yeah, some people are being dumb about it, but yeah, exactly, we get back on it right away.
Well, I don't know if we're going forward because the legislature of California just passed I think it's affirmative action bill, and it's going to strike through their Civil Rights Act. Meaning that you will be allowed to discriminate. It's being voted on by a simple majority in November.
I don't like that. The one thing I think is to go back on what you're like, to do it across the board and like a big change at once is not a good idea. But like Camden, New Jersey has already quote unquote defunded their police, and they went from having the highest crime rate, higher than some other developed countries, and the highest in the U.S. to virtually being at the lowest. They had like tons of corruption in their government.
Now no crimes.
Personal responsibility is because everyone's like, I gotta protect myself.
Is there
exactly.
Is there actually no crime happening, or
no? There's still crime happening, but it's like their number of violent crimes per capita has dropped to like countrywide lows. So I think there needs to be more like trial runs because Camden's a pretty big city. Like
well, it's always going to be hard in the short term, but it's like Portugal legalizing all drugs. Like they had a ton of like overdoses and everything in the first year, but now there's like very little drug abuse now.
And I would assume probably the same thing happened in Camden. Within the first couple months, I bet crime probably bubbled up. And then when people realized like,
I got to protect myself.
Man, we have good, my job is in jeopardy. And also people who are in communities that were like worried are like, yeah, I've got less police protection, but also I've got a different set of resources where if I'm in need or if someone in my neighborhood's in need, I can call like a community support agent who will come down, who knows this neighborhood, knows the people on the block. Like they made all of their police officers go to each neighborhood that they would, like the precincts they would work in, and go door to door and introduce themselves, leave a business card, say, I'm the cop in this neighborhood. I'll only be in this neighborhood for the rest of the year.
And that's how it used to be. You'd call up your brother or your friend and say, hey, Jimmy, like this guy's causing trouble. You want to come help me or something?
Gang shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's why gangs arise, is to create order and chaos.
Like, if there's less cops and you need protection, gangs can come around and offer you protection for a fee. Like, that shit happens.
But the problem is like, why pay taxes? Why pay taxes? Well, yeah, it's because the government holds a monopoly on crime.
Yeah.
Because they have to. Because it's like, why do we pay taxes then?
But
it's like the only way you can enforce taxes is through police and like military. So it's, I don't know, it kind of defeats the purpose of tax. You should have had to pay taxes if you don't get protection. Like,
I feel you. Yeah.
Because that's a point of the government is to protect the people, like not only from out international tax, but also from domestic.
All right, I'm going to make a 180 pivot in the conversation.
Perfect.
We've been talking about too many cops. I fucking hate cops. No, I'm just kidding, dude. So it came to my mind because I saw the Inception poster. But so like, I don't know if you guys know what ID 2020 is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, someone knows. But
you showed us.
getting the chip. How do you guys feel about getting the chip?
I'm not getting it.
You're not getting the chip?
I don't want to get
What are
the
you
chip.
talking about?
I want chipped. So ID 2020 it's Bill Gates is funding it, but the idea is to have everyone has a digital ID. So that kind of sets up that's like putting the ball on the tee for them to be like, and you have to have a chip now. So
They already did the federal ID. Now to be able, like, I haven't got the federal ID
Neither do I.
yet because they make it's optional. But to be optional, if you don't get it, you can't travel outside the U.S. and you can't enter any government
you
building.
can't even fly domestically anymore.
It's like what is the?
You have to have your
So
passport.
you're forced to get it. It's mandatory optional.
So why does he want to have the ID? What's this all about?
The one reason is contact tracing for something like COVID. Scary.
Dude.
I don't like that. Another idea is also so that people who don't have one of the added benefits is that people who are like digitally left behind. So like around Athens, there's a lot of people who don't have internet access. So if they've got a digital ID, that is setting them up. Like people need to be raised to a level where they've got access to these things, and so that they can have a digital ID where they've got a digital.
So you got to put your fucking arm?
No. The digital ID is just going to be like in your phone.
20% of America doesn't even have internet
It already
still.
is.
Which is tough.
What's that? I still don't have, we still can't get high speed internet at our house.
Your internet's fine.
So we need
bro. I don't know
Elon to
The
keep pumping
hotspot.
those satellites out there, dude. Holy cow, I'm a big fan.
privatize it, baby.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Give all
Privatize
of your data
everything.
Same with
private
space. Yeah. Oh
companies.
yeah, space travel too. That should definitely be privatized.
Well, they're doing it, man.
I know, I love it.
I think
Trump
that's a
said you could mine
bastion
in
of
space now.
So, and you're for getting an ID chip in your arm?
No, I was joking. I want a chip so bad. I want them to know where I am.
Straight up like 1984.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's like right out of the
It's
book.
like we read that. It's like, what was the point of reading it? If
You know,
we're
one
like,
of those, like Bill Gates was probably reading that. It wasn't him, but it was someone on his team was reading the book, and they're like,
that might be a good
"That's
idea.
a genius. Should name this book 2020." Yeah, it's like,
Sketchy.
yeah, I think like there's definitely ways that could help to get people to keep people on like the same page. But at the same time, it's just too much control.
There's way too many outlets for that to be abused.
Oh, yeah.
where they're just. Whoever's in the power is going to abuse it.
It goes back to everything we talked about. It comes out of the person who's using it, and if it's used if you guys perfect, if it goes the perfect way and everything is all sunshine and rainbows, it's cool. But if something like that is that way, it's cool. But if it doesn't go that way, then people just abuse the power, and then it's
what
scary.
happens if there's like a solar flare and like somehow you
Your
get
ID shuts.
electrocuted? Like shit like that.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the chip's going to be done by Bill Gates or if Elon's going to beat him to it and put the brain implant, what is it?
Oh yeah,
Neuralink,
that
yeah.
1 inch thing.
I'm waiting a few. I probably will never get that, to be
No, it was
honest.
the same way. Like my family didn't get the Xbox until like the second or third generation. You got to wait for those things to get worked out.
I don't even know if I would
Price
get
drops,
that.
second gen.
It's just like
Just compare that to the
Yeah.
Xbox.
Oh yeah. Second. I'm gonna get like the second or third gen chip, and it's just gonna be, half price. All the kinks are gonna be worked out. People aren't gonna be getting electrocuted. And I'm just gonna slide right in when it's comfy.
my biggest thing is like I
then
just
it'll be
worry
too
about
late, bro.
solar flares, just because there's quite a possibility that we will have another solar
Frank, your
flare.
ass would be worried about solar flares, man. If you're worried
Well,
about
if we
solar
have,
How
if you have,
obscure of a
I
theory
don't
is
know.
that?
if you have,
I
if you have
heard
something in
that
your brain that's electric and there's a solar flare, you die.
dude.
Is that like? Does it do that with like
Pacemaker?
Yeah. It's like
I
shut
don't
them
know.
off
There
and
hasn't
stuff?
been too many big solar flares recently. Their last big
strange.
one was in the 1860s, and it fried.
Then why are you worried about it?
It fried all the
That's what
telegraph
happened,
lines.
shit.
It lit them all on fire. It was so strong. And if that would have happened now, like, oh my god,
I thought the sun was cool. But
we would have planes falling out of the skies.
That'd be
Dude, I've been
crazy.
saying this for years.
already been happening.
Fuck the sun. Who needs it? You look at it, it hurts your eyes. Stay out too long, burns your skin.
I kind of like sunburns though.
Doesn't help that you're bald.
I know. This is bullshit. Wait, what?
Okay, serious question though. Okay, if you're not as bald as Hank, if you're like halfway there, hair implants, would you do it?
Oh hell yeah, Elon did
My
it.
man, exactly. Elon definitely did it. That man had
Yeah, he did.
bad hair.
No way.
You see the picture of him when he was an engineer, like just his hair was combed
Yeah.
over on top of it.
Bro.
His PayPal
Hair
days.
implants.
Dude, that shit is
Shave
so.
that
It's
shit.
like they use
And
real hair.
if you're like
now.
where I'm at, yeah, and I'm like,
Have you
I'm
seen
right
that-
here. It's not going to cost that
That
much.
Saturday Night Live where they're doing hair implants, all natural. They take it from your pubes. They all like.
I'm not worried about going bald anytime soon, so I'm like,
I want the hair implants
Dude,
for
me
my
neither.
pubes. I need more.
Honestly,
Screw wait until you're 16 for puberty. Just
only
12.
get them on your chest, like get them in certain areas, like shoulders or something.
Well, I'm gonna do the laser removal so it's a clean slate, and then like art. You can put a piece of
The
art
new
on there.
tattoos will be hair and
nice.
There you go.
I think we might have just stumbled across something.
That's-
Oh
great.
my
Yeah.
god!
That'd
Add
be
that to the
sweet.
journal. Hair implants for tattoos. Smart.
Oh man.
How often do you journal, dude?
It's hit or miss. I try to do it daily. It was really good at doing it daily when I lived in a tiny bedroom in California and I had nothing to do other than walk around. So then I was like, okay, I'll wake up and journal in the morning. I'll do it at the end of the day.
And now you're wasting your time doing shit like this.
Yeah, Jesus. Dude, my journal's going to be filled with like 6 pages of just how much I hated tonight. No,
I freaking hate.
death list, Frank.
He's got a flashlight under the blanket. He's like, I hate them all.
My mom's like, turn the light off. It's time for bed. No, Mom, I'm journaling. No, I think it's like, I don't know. I used to do it like religiously, like the summer I lived in Athens a couple years back because I was the only one there. And I was like, man, if I'm just sitting here and like the thoughts are just in my head bouncing around, I'm going to go crazy. So I started writing them down to try to like air things out. Also been like learning about like, it's called flow. It's like a type of psychology where
Oh yeah,
Flow state.
that shit's
Yeah.
real.
it's definitely real. And like if I have music on and I'm journaling, like, I'll passively write a few thoughts like that happen earlier in the day. But if I just sit down with nothing and just journal, I'll write 4 or 5 pages and I'll end up kind of like our conversation. It just ends up on something that I didn't know I was going to get to. And I usually end up kind of unlocking a different part of like my thought process or something to me where it's like, okay, this is like, I've clearly noted in there different places where I put stars where it's like, this is where I was feeling flow. And then try to like duplicate that in things outside of journaling, like work or things like that. But I think it's just a good, like, I think way too much.
Oh yeah, I hear.
So
you.
I
write
need to
down
be.
a few
Oh
times
yeah,
too.
This, if
When
I
you
spend
were-
too much
I
time
feel
in my
like I
head, it's
remember
crushing.
it too better. If you just write it, physically write it down. Like I definitely remember stuff a lot better if I physically write it down
yeah.
versus typing it or something like that.
And I try to like, I am addicted to YouTube and to Reddit, so I'll just get like deep in a hole, and then I'm like, okay, how do I get out of this hole? Let me just pick a topic that I don't really know about. I'll learn about it quick, and then I'll just write in my journal for like a page or so, just to get out of this hole where I'm just like watching like Street Beef's YouTube fight videos and shit. You guys ever seen Street Beefs, dude?
No,
We gotta watch that after, man. It is, dude. It's
Street
it's
Beefs.
the best. It is.
That's
It's.
good.
I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's like. I think it's in Kentucky. Or, yeah, Street Beefs.
Oh,
okay, type
boy.
in. Go up to the top and type in space B and then space Dan's. Yeah,
what?
not dance, but top one. Tapeworm versus B dance. This
watch it- we'll watch it
sick. Yeah, we'll watch it
afterwards.
later. But it's like you can kind of see it. It's like they've got like a caged octagon, and it's just people in like
Chain
some-
link fence.
It's a
just-
rural area, and dude, they fight. They get after. But the best part is, it's like they got a ref. Like it's sanctioned. It's because like old YouTube, and I wasn't on YouTube like a long time ago. This is a full conversation from another podcast I listened to a while back, like a couple years ago. But it's like, remember early on YouTube where like fight videos were so racial? It was like Mexican fights black guy. And you're like, geez, but all right, it's a crazy fight. And now it's like it's sanctioned. It's Street Beefs. I love it. I love watching Street
Dude,
Beefs.
I remember YouTube where it was just like that one bang, that every tutorial would just be like Windows background, then the sound, the
like
song.
Russian trap or whatever.
I have a question. Would you guys be for, so like if two people got in like an argument and they just wanted to like fight to the death, and if they like went to like in front of like a judge and like sign, like they knew
Yeah.
what
Dude, that is Street Beefs. It's literally two
Street
people
Beefs?
with beef. It's people who want to fight each other.
that's why I brought
They
it up,
reach out
like-
to Street Beefs and they're like, we want to fight, and they're like, we'll do it sanctioned.
Go to
and you gotta-
Seattle.
But what if
Seattle, there's the cops have a no break.
no? I'm saying like to the death.
death. Oh
like,
hell
if-
yeah, duels,
the
dude.
death?
Bring back
To the
duels.
death.
to the death.
Why do you want someone to die
think-
though?
Bring
Why?
back duels.
No,
dude.
if they hate each other that much and
if
they
you
both agree
yeah.
to it, like fight to the death.
If the two people in it agree, I guess. Like,
Yeah, like,
that's
why
just
shouldn't
them
you?
being dumbasses.
Yeah,
But, like,
exactly. yeah.
Why do you want to kill? You should never want to kill somebody about
I
something.
don't, we're
we
not
have
saying we
squash
want to
the
kill
beef.
someone. It's just like if
Street
two
beef.
people want to
It's the
engage
ultimate.
in that.
It's
Yeah,
the ultimate beef squash. He's dead.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with my problems if I kill all of them.
that's true.
Scarily, but
It's like, wait a minute. You
Yeah.
can just
Put that in my journal. Oh,
And just like that, we've been flagged on even on BitChute. Even BitChute won't have it.
you're at row.
All right, you guys want to call it?
One thing I want to talk about first.
All right.
All right, let's hear.
All right. So I'm outside on North Carolina. Like, we're 15 minutes from the...
On or in North? Were you on?
I was probably on it, but yeah.
At least you're like on the.
Either way. Fuck you, Christian.
I'm just trying to clear things up.
Okay. So
Thanks.
it's nighttime. We're outside. We're kind of dicking around with lights. We realize that there's like something in the air, like just blowing. It looks like snow kind of. It's like real fine particles. What is all this shit? What is all this dust?
Cocaine.
It's the Sahara Desert,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Oh yeah, the dust cloud was coming from the Sahara.
Crazy.
Yeah, it happens like every
Crazy.
50 years or something where the Sahara
Yeah, I
Desert
heard it
Well,
actually...
it usually blows to the South America like every year
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah,
what like
yeah,
fertilizes
And the
the
jet
Amazon
streams, I believe the
rainforest.
jet streams are shifting, and that's why
Yeah.
we have this weather that's sitting over us, like just going in a giant. We're just having these weird.
If you look at the weather app, it says rain for the next 12 days, and it doesn't rain. It's like, what the hell's going on?
It's because they can't predict the weather at all now.
I don't have planes in the sky to do it for them.
Well, and just the weather is pure chaos theory, where it's like once you get, I think it's like a week out. There's just so many different variables that it's unpredictable.
If I could redo what I did in college, this is a joke, but meteorologist, man, you show up to work every day. You lie 36% of the time, and then like I don't know if you've seen like the one in Dayton where the guy's like dabbing on like just being an idiot. It's like you can just go to work, be a jackass, and just stand in front of a green screen and be like, yeah, down here it's probably gonna rain, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Let me check
Might be
weather.
sunny
Let me
over
check
here.
Weather Channel real quick.
It's like AccuWeather, and then he's like, okay, memorize that. All right, I'm on in 10. All right, good. Action. It's like,
Work
what a
was tough
scheme.
today.
Yeah. It's like, honey, I had to lie to everybody on national TV for an hour.
That's the only job where you can
They
be
already have
wrong.
people doing that. Watch Fox or CNN,
Yeah.
bro.
happens all the time.
Classic. Nice joke, man.
Fake
Thanks.
news.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Dude,
Don't.
did you like grab some? Like, dude, this is from the Sahara Desert. Like, grab some,
Fill it up
put it
in
up in the
a-
air,
in a
just with like a
glass.
jar.
Well, that was the thing, right?
Did you get a net?
I expected my car to be covered in dust. Nothing. I don't know what the fuck happened.
It's high. I'm pretty sure
swirls.
most of it's like high up too.
Sure, it didn't land where we were. At least not in my car. It was cool though. It was really cool. You're probably
really
breathing
cool.
that shit in.
That's awesome.
I've got smoker's lung now, but it was worth it.
Had that since 16.
Dude, I've been smoking cigarettes for like ever.
Best cigarette, what is it?
American
American
Spirits.
Spirit Yellow, bro.
Cowboy Killer.
Nice. That's
Like
awesome.
a Marlboro?
That's
Or you
No,
pack
American
your own.
Spirits are
or you
classic.
pack your own.
That's the true
Dude,
sign of a person.
I would
Sign
love
of
to
a man.
do a pipe one day.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never
We
done a
can
pipe.
get some
Let's
pipe
do a
tobacco.
pipe podcast.
Pipe
I'm good
podcast.
with, I'm good with
I
that.
get my pipe collection out.
Do you have more than
There
one
you
pipe?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's do
I
one.
bought one in college. You remember that like crappy wooden one I had? Bought it for like $3 at the smoke store. First time I smoked out it. The thing it felt like I was just lighting. Like it didn't feel like the wood was like prepped. It felt like I was just smoking a stick. I was like, oh!
Remember the
Sorry for everyone who's listening. I just blew their ears out.
the
That noise.
tiki one I had?
Oh yeah, that one
In high
sucked
school?
too.
Oh.
It was cool though.
It was cool.
You, make
Yeah.
it, you can make a
Not for
corn cob
smoking.
one pretty good if you know how to make them right. If you burn the inside right.
An apple, banana,
Uh,
watermelon.
banana.
they're mostly water.
You can with a watermelon.
What?
It's easy. All you gotta do is just put a straw through it. The straw goes up to the.
Oh, okay.
Sorry again, Mom. Jeez. Ugh.
Alrighty.
Before we go off, though, shout out to you dudes. This was a fun time.
Hell yeah,
Anybody
dude.
else who's listening who thinks they want to have a good conversation, this is the place to do it.
Shoot us an email or just DM us, any of us, on any social media too.
Technically, Jacob's in charge, so if you just want to bug him, that's what I do.
Show up to his house. What's
Yeah.
your address?
1,
Don't tell your address.
Yeah.
3, 4. Get the fuck off me. Just kidding, guys. Sorry.
What is your guys' email? Like a Hotmail or AOL? What is
What
it?
are we going to talk about at gmail.com?
At AOL.com. Perfect. At Ask Jeeves.
It's linked in the YouTube description, unless I forget to do it or
Sorry
if I
to
forget
ruin
do
that.
Oh, we good.
it. Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's it. Peace and love,
out,
people.
everybody.
Thanks for listening if you made it this far.
One love.
Peace.
See ya.